he switches my service off on my phone, which means not only was he listening to that last live, he then switched my service off. Now, my service was switched off right when I was watching a video about Donald Trump committing election fraud. So I was getting ready to make the second video in regards to it's come out that Donald Trump has fired the election commission, who's a bipartisan organisation, some of whom were elected by him to oversee the elections and the software that's used for the election voting machines, and who oversee the voting machines and stuff, and he's fired them all. And you got the midterms coming up. Now, he's just been at that NATO summit, and remember when I said that him and Musk and Palantir and Keir Starmer and France and Germany and Zelensky and all that had committed voter fraud, election fraud? Remember I put the videos up? And then he was just at NATO with France and Germany and Zelensky and all of that. They were all there, and then he comes back from that meeting and fires everyone in the Electoral Commission. So after I called for an investigation into election fraud, he goes to NATO with all the people that I said he helped rig their elections for, and then he comes back and fires everyone in the Electoral Committee. So what does that tell you? And then just as I'm about to make the video in regards to that, my phone gets switched off. And I just made the live about mine and my boys' banks and phones being messed with. So they've literally just handed me the win. And so the stuff that I said about the election fraud was Starmer, Trump, Zelensky, von der Leyen, Macron, Merz, and the Japanese Prime Minister proving election fraud had taken place with those Dominion voting machines, which is owned by a MAGA supporter, and Palantir and Microsoft, Palantir and Musk messing with the software, which is owned by Bill Gates, for the voting machines. Remember I dropped the bomb on all of that because I took it to the King and the ICC, and I said Keir Starmer and Donald Trump and all of that committed election fraud with the help of Palantir and Musk, and Ashley St Clair backed it up and said, yeah, here's the information, I've got Musk's actual texts. Donald Trump goes to that NATO meeting with Zelensky and Merz and Macron, like all of them, you know, the NATO leaders, whoever it was, Zelensky was there. And then as soon as he comes back, he fires his electoral commission people, whose job it is to make sure that the software's sound in those voting machines and that the voting machines are sound. So a little bit of a coincidence, eh? That he fires everyone responsible for doing the investigation after I said there needs to be an investigation, which tells you what. So in less than 10 minutes, I've made 2 videos that have proven everything I've said about Chris and Musk and Donald Trump, and that 100% correct. They're messing with me and my boys' phones and internet and banks and phone numbers and stuff, and they committed election fraud. Because there's no smoke without fire, eh? I didn't drop it, and because a lot of people have been clicking on that stuff to do with my election fraud investigation over the last few days. There's been a lot of people clicking on my posts and all of that. And then he goes to NATO with all the people that I said he helped commit election fraud for. If they did the dirty work, if he did the dirty work for them, they'd let him get away with like trying to take Greenland and having the minerals and metals and all that sort of thing, so that the fat prick could get richer and fatter and uglier, or him and his little buffoons. And then he goes away from that meeting and fires everyone in the electoral committee, which means what were they talking about behind closed doors? Possibly being under investigation for rigged elections? Amp up the war with Iran to distract everyone from the fact that I blew the whistle on everyone having rigged their elections, including Starmer. I'm so glad I called the ICC in to watch that, because his reaction coming up to those primaries tells me that he knew that I was spot on. Because I called them out and then they proved me right by doing shit like they just did by switching my phone off. I just talked about them messing with mine and my boys' internets and phone, and then they go and switch my phone off after I call them out on the video. That's how retarded they are. They don't have two brain cells to rub together, that lot, because all they function on is lust and greed and power and control. And they don't care who they hurt. Even my own children. From day one, they never cared about what happened to my children. They're more than happy to use my children as scapegoats for them to get away with the crimes that they committed against my kid's mother, me. Anything to get at me, including my children, and Chris just sits back and lets them do it. Chris handed my children. He sacrificed my children so that he could get away with what? Sleeping with a copious amount of single mothers who are broken and damaged, to hide the fact that he's a closet homosexual, unprotected sex all over the place, having orgies with his sex toys. So I do that investigation about the election fraud into Starmer and Trump. I connect the dots with Musk and Palantir, and let's not forget Trump owns Palantir, and the software of Gates and all of that. I put it all out there. I bring the King in, I bring the ICC in, I bring CNN in, I bring Tucker Carlson in. A couple of other people as well from the internet. And then all of a sudden he goes to NATO, to the very people that I said he helped rig their elections, and comes back from that meeting and fires everyone in the Electoral Commission, including people he appointed, whose job it is to oversee those voting machines and the software in bipartisan roles where they do everything from making sure the elections run smoothly to election fraud. And with the primaries coming up in November, he's trying to, he's committing election fraud. He committed and is committing election fraud. By him drawing attention to the, fake election, remember how he tried to claim that they rigged the election last time, by him drawing attention to that, it drew my attention. It made me investigate. And now by him doing this, he's literally just confirmed I was right about everything, which means Keir Starmer isn't a legally elected prime minister. Von der Leyen isn't, well, she wasn't legally elected anyway, but with her election, she won the election by a very slim margin when they took the vote as to whether to keep her in. And it was using the same kinds of software and machines in that too. Zelensky's one. Zelensky, he's not a legally elected president. Macron, Mers, the Japanese Prime Minister, Mark Carney, all their elections fraudulent because of Palantir and Musk and Donald Trump and those voting machines, and Bill Gates. And it's Bill Gates, Elon Musk and Donald Trump that got sued by that victim in Florida for being Jeffrey 2.0 for the trafficking and all that. And so I blew the whistle, which means that his actions, it means that someone's been listening. I'm telling you now, something I've done in one of my investigations, somebody's listened. Somebody's listened to it. Somebody's listened to me. And I think that there's stuff going on behind closed doors that I haven't been told about. And I'm about to get news that I was right about everything. And I'm about to get a big fat apology check. And I can get my boys and get the hell out. Because I haven't been wrong yet. And Chris is involved in what's happening to me and my phones and my boys' phones and our bank accounts. I'm telling you now. Internet included. It's funny how my son's internet went down right after he went to the bank and the phone company, eh? He goes to the bank and the phone company to complain about what's happening to his bank account and his phone, and then he gets back and he has no internet. Funny that. I just made a complaint about all of this and then I had no phone and internet. So what does that tell you? The evidence doesn't lie. It's one thing to say, oh, it's all in her head, but when it's happening to other people in my life as well, there's no smoke without fire. And I'm telling you now, Chris is in on it. And now Donald Trump's come back from NATO with his little chicken shit coward excuse as to why, oh no, we had to leave the plane there and blah, blah, blah. Because Israel's, oh, Iran's trying to assassinate you. Because, you know, Israel are so bloody honest, aren't they? They're known for their honesty. And then the first thing he does when he gets back is fires the Electoral Commission. The link is in the description box below. So he's just proven everything I said. That him and Palantir and Musk and Gates, because they were specifically talking about the voting machines and the voting machine software. They're owned by MAGA, they're owned by Gates, and with Ashley Sinclair's evidence of him using his space lasers to mess with the software, Donald Trump's just proven everything I said about that election being rigged. Donald Trump rigged the last election to become president of the United States. He is not legally the president of the United States, and he has been robbing the people blind. He's worth billions. The IRS got caught stealing people's money. The IRS have just been caught helping themselves to people's money. I'll try and find the link and put it in the description box below. Remember that whole lawsuit thing he had with the IRS? They're making their money back by stealing from small business owners and stuff. They've been caught. I'll try and find the link, but it won't be too hard to find. He's like a fat, greedy baby who suckled his mother dry, except his mother is America. And anyone in the world who signed up to the Palantir beast system, he's making his money that way. Because he's so paranoid, because he's not mentally there. And people who are mentally unstable become exceptionally paranoid, and they need to know who's saying what. They have to watch everything, so that's why they bring in, he signs them up to Palantir in exchange for helping them rig their elections. I'll make you Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, if you sign the country up to Palantir. And then we can spy on everyone. And then everyone has to do digital IDs, and then we've got everyone in the system. And then Meta can is allowing people to take photos of people's faces, including children and that, off Instagram and Facebook to turn into Grok, to turn into fake accounts, to use AI, to fake all sorts of things. And people are already doing it to fake crimes for comedy videos on YouTube. There are people who are filming themselves using AI to take photos of people off social media, then using AI to make it look like they're committing crimes, and then they're showing their partners, look what your husband's doing, look what your wife is doing. And then it's all to, oh no, haha, it's just a joke. You know, like funniest home videos, funniest home AIs. No, it's just a joke. They didn't really, what the one I saw, that he was robbing a gas station. No, haha, it's just a joke, using AI. So by that reckoning, I could do the same thing to say, oh, that my ex-husband took someone's life, which I would never do, because I'm not a dishonest, disgusting piece of trash. I'm more than happy to let karma and the law catch up to my ex, but there are people out there who will do it, and I know that because they did it to me. They took my phone when Rocio rang my number and it recorded my voice all that time ago from the German army base. They've taken my photos. Chris sent them photos via my son's email address. You know that because I posted it. And then they used it, turned it into AI to fake phone calls and fake videos and stuff to smear my name, to make me look like I was a threat to America and either needed to be deported or couldn't be trusted around my own children, let alone be given a visa to America. But it turns out it's because I'm powerful and they're terrified of my power. Because when I investigate you, as soon as I sniff that shit, I'm on it. I'm not afraid to crawl up that sewer and right up your ass to follow that stench of lies and filth and depravity and sin in order to collect your soul and take you down. And now this move that Donald Trump's just made has just proven I was right. So his election was rigged, America. Donald Trump is not a legally elected president of the United States. Keir Starmer isn't the legally elected Prime Minister of Great Britain. They all use the same machines. And the people who ran the election for Labour, he's a Labour supporter. The election machines for Starmer's one, he's a Labour supporter. And the one who did Trump's is a MAGA supporter, makes donations to the Trump Foundation, you know, to Trump. And Musk and Palantir and Bill Gates have been helping the European and Canadian presidents and prime ministers, as well as Trump and the prime minister of Japan, win their elections by committing election fraud and tampering with the voting system. And I said it and I called it out and I made sure I had witnesses. And then that dumb little retard goes to NATO with all his friends that he helped get into power, and then they have their little discussion, and then, don't worry, I'll take care of it, gets back to America, fires everyone in the Electoral Commission, so they can't do a thing about investigating election fraud and those the rigged voting machines and the rigged software, the hacked software. He fires them all right before the primaries, which means he's getting ready to rig the elections in November as well. Desperate times call for desperate measures, but he's been called out. And by him being called out, it's like, tick, check, thank you, prove me right, thank you, Donald. Prove me right again. So my lawsuit against these people just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm going to eat their souls. I'm going to suck their souls out of their eyeballs, personally myself, because they messed with my babies again. So what is it, mass hysteria? That it's happening to other people in my life now, not just me, and it was happening to my boys before, but it's only been in the time that my boys have started talking to me again. We've been mending bridges. They've been helping me out, coming up with creative ideas and stuff like that. Now all of a sudden this stuff's getting messed with again. Because he threatens them. That's why they were too scared to talk to social services. Social services came round to the house to talk to the boys about what happened that night, and my son said to them, we'll talk to you when he's not around. And they never went back. So they never got to tell their side of the story. And they said, the reason, because I said, why didn't you just say to them, get him out of the room? He said, because every time we stand up for you, he does something to punish you. And we're scared that he's going to do something to hurt you. That's what he said. They were trying to protect me. My boy doesn't realise it, but it's the reason why he goes to the gym and why he's built like a brick shit house now. It's a psychological thing. Because he couldn't protect his mum and protect himself from his father, he goes to the gym. Men who go to the gym to work out and bulk up, were victims of bullying or some kind of domestic abuse, or they witnessed it. And it's like a helpless, they felt helpless. I couldn't do anything then because I was little, but I'm not little anymore. And I was talking to my boy the other day about when he took the crowbar to defend me against his father that day. So it's not just happening to me now, and I have documented proof. They're messing with their phones. I don't know about Thomas's phone. They're messing with the internet. They're messing with Gabriel's phone, messing with Gabriel's bank. Right after he started talking to me again. Funny that, eh? And the thing is, he's always targeted Gabriel, because Gabriel's the one who can't be easily swayed, usually. But Gabriel's the one who ended up defending Chris in the end, not realising the stuff he was saying. Dad told us the cocaine was in the weed, not the pizza. Dad said he didn't know that what he was doing to you was sexual assault. He didn't know that's what it was. So just drop it and forget about it. That's what the boys were saying. Like, move on. Like, it's really bad and everything, but move on. And I was like, he's got in their heads. And now I'm right. Now I've been proven right. Because it's not just my... And then, of course, I make the video calling him out, and then I'm researching the video that popped up about the election fraud, and my phone cuts out, which is the thumbnail. So, you know, the evidence kind of speaks for itself. So America, Donald Trump rigged the election to become president. Great Britain, Keir Starmer rigged the election to become Prime Minister. France and Germany, Merz and Macron aren't legally presidents and prime ministers, and von der Leyen's election was rigged, and Zelensky's election was rigged, and the Prime Minister of Japan's election was rigged, and Mark Carney's election was rigged. They're the only ones that have been brought to the forefront. So I don't know about anyone who's anti-Russia, pro-Ukraine. You can pretty much guarantee their elections were rigged. It seems to be any election that took place between 2023 and 2026. More predominantly 2024 and 2026. So, and the IRA, what's the IRA? The IRS. It's funny I said that. Maybe that obviously they rigged the Irish one as well. The Northern Ireland elections obviously rigged the Ireland's elections as well. But yeah, and the IRS have been stealing money from your bank accounts because remember Doge gave them access. Doge had access to all that sort of stuff. And then NATO miraculously come up with 300 something billion. Where's it coming from? Donald Trump. But they've been caught out, and now he's come back from that summit having already humiliated himself, and he's just walked right into God's trap and proven everything I said correct. So if anyone from the King's side of this is listening to this, you need to get Keir Starmer and the Labour and the Defence Minister and that, you need to get them arrested, because when they pulled off that Bella thing and stole from the Russian shipping companies, it was illegal. It was piracy. Trump as well with Venezuela, with all of the pirates, they're thieves, they're liars, they're bandits, they're robbers. And they have been fleecing the world blind, sucking them dry, literally, so that they could rule over the ashes, because they're demented. And if I was America, I'd be taking to the streets with pitchforks and torches. When I saw the news article, I thought, I can't believe he was dumb enough to do that. Because now it's proving everything I said about election fraud correct, about him being involved. They specifically talked about the voting machines and the software. And it's his MAGA friend, it's the friend of Labour, friend of Tony Blair's as well, I think. Palantir, Elon Musk, Bill Gates. And bearing in mind he owns Palantir, like I said. So, and with the help of Ashley St. Clair and her texts that she had the mind to screenshot. So I was right. And if I was America and Great Britain and France and Germany and Ukraine and Canada, I'd be pissed AF. AF. Because all your suffering has come from fraudulent elected officials. They're not legally presidents and prime ministers. They're frauds. All to cover up the fact that they're on the Epstein list. This whole entire thing. If you do this for me, I'll let you do this. And then we can watch each other's backs when it comes to the release of the Epstein files. All of it. The rigged elections, the stealing of the money, the stealing of the resources and all of that is all paying each other off for keeping the secret that they're all pedophiles and human traffickers and child groomers. And I've been able to prove it. Even Jacinda Ardern, I've been able to prove that she's a friend of Epstein. So it's one thing to come after me, but it's a whole different story when you target my babies. So you've crossed that line. And I was prepared to put everything down and just go about my business and focus on my musicals and my school. But now you've touched my babies. And I'm not just picking up one sword, I'm picking up 1,000. And I'm sending my ancestors right to your criminal minds until I get justice and get my boys out of there. Because I was right about everything then, and I'm right about everything now. They're targeting my boys to punish me, to keep us apart, to make me look like the bad parent, so that he could get away with being the evil parent because he's been helping the predators and traffickers and pedophiles and thieves and liars and frauds because they promised him something. He would have gotten something out of it. If you help us, we'll give you a games company, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. They've promised him something. He's getting something out of it. With the reputation that he has in the games industry, it defies logic that he still has a job. Because everybody in the games industry knows what he did to me and his victim of the R. Everybody knows it, and yet he's still employed. How? He was advertising for, an exciting new game that's been made, and he was looking for staff. So he's gotten funding from somewhere to make a game. Where did the money come from for him to make this game? Has he started his own company? Is he working with another company with money he pulled out of his ass to make this game that he had on LinkedIn, where he was advertising looking for staff? Where did the money come from? See? Connect the dots. And it all adds up. But they didn't think I'd figure it out. They thought that if they threatened me enough, that I'd back down and go quiet. Never. I'm not going to let anyone get away with sexual abuse, domestic violence, being a pedophile, being a sexual predator, being a child trafficker, being a child groomer. Never. Not even over my dead body will I let anyone get away with it, especially when it comes to me and my children, because I'm not having anyone besmirch my good name like that. I don't sit down and shut up and be quiet when people target me for things I haven't done. I defend myself. I have valour and I have honour. And he might have taken my dignity through my teeth and me sitting here in holy clothes, living in poverty and that, but I'm still alive and I'm still here and I'm stronger than ever and I'm fighting back harder because you touched my kids. Again. You couldn't just walk away and leave it alone. You had to come back and try and do more. And now it's affecting my babies, and it's affecting their access to money, and it's affecting their access to the internet, because you know that I set them out there to do research for my games company, and they've been giving me feedback and helping me. Now that we're talking again, and now all of a sudden their phones are playing up, their internet's playing up, they're having problems with their banks, they're having problems with their postcode deliveries. All of a sudden, just out of nowhere, since they started talking to me again. Funny that. And then that fat little Satsuma comes back from NATO and goes, oh, I'm cancelling, firing the election people because, they might investigate everything that was said about us rigging the elections. So it's like, thanks. You just proved me right. And by switching off my phone, you've proved me right again. So the police should be going round to Chris's house and knocking on his door and saying, Christopher Blake, we need a word with you. You're not going camping. We need you to come down to the station and answer a few questions if you don't mind, in regards to the attempted murder on Debbie Callahan. And the hacking of the phones and internet and bank accounts. Can we look at your phone? Can we check your bank account? We want to see where all this money's come from, so that you could make this game. Where did this money come from, Mr. Black? Why has it been wired from so-and-so in America? Who are these people in America that gave you the money? Why do you have two separate internets in your house? One for the boys and one for your bedroom. One's called Dad's room. Why do you have two separate internets that the boys only have access to the one that breaks down all the time every time they do something for their mother? Why did she have cocaine in her system? Can we check your phone to see if you were in contact with Mikey and Sarah Jane? And then go and talk to Mikey and say who put that opium in her opium. Yeah, opioids. Who put the opioids in her weed? How did that get there? Because it was in her system. And she sent us a sample of the weed and we've had it tested. And she's right, that the weed was laced. How did it get there if you're the one that sold it to her? Who put you up to it? If you help us, Mikey, if you spill the beans, we'll give you a reduced sentence. That's all they have to do. They've got the sample of the weed. I've got a sample still here. I kept a little bit of it. I was waiting to give it to my lawyer. That's all the cops have to do. Sample the weed. Check his bank accounts, check his phones. Get his records from the phone company. That's it. Job done. But he needs to be taken down to the station for questioning. And he needs to be locked up. And when I tallied up each individual crime that he'd committed against me and the boys, I think it was 45 years in prison in total, tallying it all up. Which means he'd more than likely die in prison. But that man doesn't deserve to be free. Neither does Trump, neither does Musk, neither do Starmer, any of them. So the King needs to get onto it. The West Yorkshire Police need to get onto it. If they want to redeem their souls, they need to get onto it and do the right thing. Chris, do the right thing. Which means my poor Yodi. They targeted Yodok Cello. Sent him in to shoot him down. I've been trying to protect him ever since. But he put out a video the other day, because I don't have Instagram anymore, so I don't have access to his Instagram and that, but I check up on him every now and then, and he put a video out just the other day after I put up the whole thing about the fake Yodoks to say, I do not contact people, I do not ask you for money. If anyone contacts you saying that they want to marry you, that they want to have a relationship with you and they need money, that they're struggling, that they need help, it's not me. So, block them, don't engage with them, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, yes, finally. I mean, he's done it before, but this time he was very insistent. So I thought, yep, finally. He's finally got the message. He finally got the message of what I was trying to say to him on Instagram and all of that. And because when I did it, it came back to my husband, Martin. And because Martin's in on it with Chris, I think that they wanted to make sure that there could be no collaboration between his school and my school. And so they hacked us. And, yeah. And all I cared about was I wanted Yodok to know the truth. All I cared about was him knowing the truth and making sure that his fans weren't being targeted, which it sounds like they were, because he said that he's been contacted by thousands of women letting him know that there's people going around pretending to be him. And that was after I put it up on his Instagram. And I said, this has nothing to do with him. I was hacked. He was hacked by my husband, and you all need to be careful. And then after that, apparently he was inundated with, he says on his thing, thousands of women contacting him to say this, 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 and this. So he backed up and confirmed everything I was saying. So thank God. So hopefully news is spread through his fan club and they'll be more aware. And then I got followed by another fake Yodok the day before yesterday. So I think that's 7 or 8 now. So yeah, so I was right about everything. And I will sit back and wait for justice. But if I was the West Yorkshire Police, if you want to redeem yourself for what you did to me, so I don't hold you responsible in the courts of law, now would be the time for you to, your redemption arc, go and knock on his door and say, we need to have a word with you, and then get that weed tested. Access his phone, access his bank account, and ask him why he's got 2 completely different internets in that house. His one never breaks down, but the boys' only ever breaks down when they have contact with their mother or when they're trying to help their mother. And I have it on video from that night because I had to use my son's phone because mine stopped working and it was taking like 4 hours to upload like a 10-20 minute video. And my son said, use my phone, Mum, and he sat with me. And I said, I'm using my son's phone because they've messed with mine. And then they started messing with his. And then after I got locked up, he said, the boy said, the first thing he said was, are your phones working okay now? They were trying to take videos and stuff for me, and it was coming up and saying that their memory cards were full, even though they weren't. And then all the problems with their phones stopped after I got locked up until we started talking again. So if the West Yorkshire Police are listening to this, if you want to, I will forgive you for any lawsuit. I will not hold you accountable legally, which means I won't add you in on the lawsuit. If you go and get my boys and save my boys and protect my boys from that monster, get the weed tested and take him in for questioning. I can guarantee you his story will have changed about 100 times, whereas mine hasn't changed once. Because I'm not a liar and I have nothing to hide. I'm completely innocent. So you can evade being involved in this lawsuit and having it all go public if you do the right thing and go and knock on his door and take him in for questioning. And while you're doing it, check the weed and then get access to his phones and his bank account and see who he's been talking to, because I guarantee you he's been talking to them all. San, Martin, Ria, Rocio. So, yep, that's what you got to do. They're about to go camping in Scotland today. As soon as he crosses that border, man, his ass is my ancestors. I'm going to make sure everything goes wrong in his life. Everything. Everything. I'm zeroing in on Chris. And I've got Donald Trump in my periphery. Lasers fired off in all directions. And I'm not going to stop until they hit their target. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Keir Starmer, Christopher Black. All the others in Europe fall as a result of Donald Trump falling. But for me personally, Keir Starmer, Christopher Black, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, coming for the lot of you. Cops are going to be turning up on your door at some point, I can guarantee it. Guaranteed. after the pitchforks and torches. So get ready, you lot, because all hell's about to break loose. And I'm not going to call off the order until I get what I want, and what I want is justice. Not just for me and my boys, but for the people of Great Britain, because Chris has helped them do this, and the people of America, because Chris and Martin and Rocio and Nikki and Rhea and that helped them do this. Donald Trump and Keir Starmer and Christopher Black and all the rest of them have gotten away with everything they did because of the people in my life helping them try and stop me from blowing the whistle. So, pitchforks and torches at dawn. You know what to do. Fly, my pretties, fly. Here come the demons. I'm firmly set in the underworld now, and I'm not coming out until I get justice. I'll speak to you later. Mwah.